So I welcome the Minister to the House, and as well as that, I suppose it was very helpful having you, Minister, as well at our parliamentary party meeting. So again, thank you for that.
Give him a membership card?
Oh, I think so, yeah. Oh, why not? we have, yeah, exactly. That's a great coalition, working partners together. And I suppose it's a bill, I suppose, Minister, here that's going to provide affordable homes for families, and it's really going to give people their first opportunity to own a home. And I suppose that is in the programme for government from all three parties, a shared future. And it commits the government to the mission of housing for all, and that everybody should have access to good quality housing for purchase or rent at an affordable price, and that the state has a fundamental role in enabling the delivery of new homes. However, the state is not the only role. I mean, it is not the only stakeholder in this. In facing this challenge, we need innovation to increase construction, I suppose, with all stakeholders, and we also need very clear project management to implement these measures. I suppose for me, Minister, I was reading a number of articles over the weekend, and then I went back to look at Census 2016 and, realised that we had like 2 million homes, that's our housing stock in Ireland, homes and apartments. Over 183,000 were vacant units, 183,000. And that's excluding vacant holiday homes. I mean, Minister, I really welcome the expansion of the repair and lease, I know from 40,000 to 60,000, but I would really like to see an awful lot more dedicated to this area, really much more. We're looking at, I suppose, housing, because I remember I've rented, I'm still renting, I've rented for many, many years in Dublin, in the city centre, I think as our Labour Senator was saying here as well. I've rented, and still I'm renting now again in Dublin North as well. So I know very well what it's like when you have to move home, when landlords go into NAMA, very much understand that. But I just would like to see how are we using this, because I think when new regulations came in, developers and property owners did not, develop their homes to respond to this. And I think there could be more within the repair and lease. Again, that investment funds, I believe, are a very small part, from what I understand, of the overall housing market, holding less than 1% of overall housing stock and 5% of all tenancies. And since 2016, under Rebuilding Ireland, we've had nearly 85,000 new homes built by the end of this quarter. I support integrated development and a mix of housing, and we need to consider including recreational space and access to community services. In my area of Ballinasloe, there are a number of developments that have been approved for planning, but yet none are moving forward. Why is that? We cannot find places to rent in Ballinasloe, and yet we are inundated with vacant areas on our streets, and yet we cannot get our construction and developers to move forward. So, Minister, how do we do this? In this affordable housing bill, I know, Minister, that this is the first scheme of direct state-built affordable homes in over a decade. I know that the state will take an equity stake, and that all over the country, it's going to be between 160 to 310,000. And when this house is sold or bought, the state will get its equity stake back. Minister, you've indicated here that I think that it's 310 million for services site funds, and that's going to allow 6,200 units. So how are we going to move those forward this year? I know that there's just a lot of difficulty at the moment in terms of coming out of lockdown. Again, it's the first ever national scheme to provide delivery of cost rental housing. And as I mentioned, I have been renting in Dublin for many years. I just can't believe I went back to Galway to rent there and then came back to Dublin again, which was a bit of a surprise to me. But in both Galway City and Dublin City, I've had to leave where I was renting, not by choice. And although there is a lot of people who would like to take on renting as a choice, the European model, I don't believe that it's the same here. I don't believe that someone can rent a place and have security of tenure for 20 to 30 years. That choice isn't left to the tenant. So I do believe that your scheme here is very, very welcome. Particularly that you're going to be looking at 25% below market price, considering in Dublin you're looking at 40% of the average wage that's dedicated towards rent. Again, the new affordable purchase shared equity scheme for homes and private developments. Again, as you were saying, there's regional price caps on this. This really, really welcome. I suppose it's really important in our regional areas as well about how we're keeping our towns and villages alive, and that the services are maintained. It's so crucial, and I suppose that's the town centre first strategy as well that's coming in here. Just the provision for the extension of the Part 5 to 20% within each local authority. As you've heard me say before, Minister, in our meeting, Galway County Council, second lowest funded council in the country, €400 is the average spend on housing, according to the local authority finance.com website, developed by NUI Galway, and yet in Galway, it's €80 in County Galway per capita per head in housing. And that's a shocking statistic. We do need to have more supports within our local authorities. I suppose, Minister, just to end, really, that those are my questions, really, just about how we get construction moving, and then just resources, as I've mentioned before, just for local authorities. Thank you. Gormagat.